Do you feel like giving up because no one is watching your content? You post that reel, but it can never get more than 200 views and maybe 2 likes. Or you send an email and people may open it, but you can never get people to click. So you think, what's the point of creating content if nobody is watching? How can this business work if nobody is watching? Now, when I say nobody is watching and looking at my content, a few things might come to mind for you. First, you might think that literally zero people are looking at the content that you put out into the world. Like, you can go into Google Analytics and see zero people looked at your blog. You can look at YouTube and see zero people looked at your video. You can go on Instagram and see that zero people saw or liked the post. That's one thing that can come to mind. Or you might think, it isn't that I think that zero people are looking, but the same people are looking at the post. It's your aunt who likes everything, your best friend, and that one person who promises that they want to work with you, but they never actually do. Or maybe you're in this third camp. You realize that yes, there are people that are looking at your content, but you're not getting nearly as many views as your business friends or some of the people that you admire most, and that those other people clearly have something figured out that you don't. Whatever the situation is, you've reached the conclusion that you don't have the people you want watching your content. And so you keep thinking, what is the point of creating content and doing the same thing? And how can this business work if you are not having the people you want watching? Well, I want to spend some time today talking about why it is important to keep creating the marketing content even when it feels like nobody is watching. I'm going to go over why doing this work, even when it feels like nobody is watching, that work is not being done in vain. It's actually helping you to move faster, helping you to get sharper marketing, and also helping you build your marketing confidence. So let's get into it. Right now, if you've been thinking any of those things I just mentioned, you're in a bubble of fear. You're not sure if what you're doing is the right way. You're comparing your marketing to everyone else's. You're looking at how many Reels views a person who has a similar audience size has. You're looking to see what someone who you know started their business at the same time as you is doing and compare to yourself. So every time you go to create content, in the back of your head, you're wondering if this post is really going to be good enough. And you're thinking that because of all these comparisons that you're doing. I remember this business coach client of mine would always compare herself to some of the other women who joined a group program at the same time as her. They were all about a year into their business. They all had similar Instagram followings, and they were all selling one-on-one coaching for about the same price. They were pretty much starting off on an even-ish playing field. But when my client came to me, she was stuck thinking about how a few of those women that she came in that program with seemed to find their flow and started growing their audience for themselves. Now, I'm sure you've probably had similar thoughts to this, that you were just like, oh, we came in around the same time. But this person, they're doing a little bit better. And of course, you're happy that things are working out for them. But you feel like you're putting in work too, but it still feels like nothing is happening. You're spending too much time in comparison. And because of that, a few things are happening. First, you're consuming more than you're creating. Now, you've heard this before, but it is a true statement. The time that you say that you're working on content, more than half of that is actually spent looking at other people's content as, quote, inspiration. The other thing that's happening is when you actually sit down to create your own content, you're second guessing. You're second guessing if it will actually work, doubting every word that you type or every word that you say on camera. You're thinking, will I put in all this effort into this post just for nobody to like it? You're thinking, I don't need to post today. I can go another day working on this post. It isn't like I have a large enough audience anyway who's waiting for me. If you ever have those thoughts, I want to tell you the same thing that I told my client. You need to let go of the fear of content not working. You need to let go of the fear of not being on the same level as the people you're comparing yourself to. You need to let go of the thought that nobody is listening. Because when you let that go, you'll actually think about your marketing and your business more than other people's. And here's what I mean when I say let it go. I mean, you need to get to the root of what it means when you say, I don't have an audience. What does that actually mean to you? Does it mean that you're afraid that your business won't work right now because you don't have the amount of people listening and watching that you want? Does nobody's watching mean that other people don't think that you're important? I really want you to journal or voice note or get coaching on what exactly that means for you. When you understand the core of that fear at play, you'll be able to actually see faster results in your marketing. If you're like my client, you may realize that you think that other people aren't taking you seriously and think that you don't know what you're talking about because you don't have a certain audience size. It wasn't until my client understood the core of that fear that she was able to then start approaching her marketing and content differently. She stopped comparing other people's content and instead tapped into what she knew as a business coach. Every week, she'd work with me on unpacking her fears and becoming more and more secure about what she knew to be true because of her experience helping people growing their businesses. We did this work when, quote, nobody was looking. But what this did was set up my client for growth. Because when we worked together on unpacking her fears of not having a big enough audience, she stopped refreshing her apps every 15 minutes hoping someone would like or share. When she let go of that fear, she found herself comparing less and remembering her client results more. And because she was focused on tapping into her experience and what she knew, she was able to then start being invited to work and talk with other people, which of course led to audience growth. So for you, I want you to get to the root of what you believe about what nobody's looking at your content actually means. And second, I want you to be honest about how it affects your content creation process. Does thinking that nobody is watching mean that you are spending hours and hours sitting in front of a computer screen hoping that whatever you create is good enough? Whatever it is, you cannot supercharge your growth until you understand what the core of that means for you. Now, I've talked about the fears behind no one is watching your content and how addressing those fears can get you results. But I want to get into the more practical and strategy side of creating content when you think nobody is watching. So you might be saying, okay, Danielle, I know what I fear about nobody watching my content, but still, I don't have the people I want watching my content. What do I do? And to that, I say, keep creating. I know that you want this audience filled with perfect match potential clients who are excited to work with you and an ongoing list of leads that will help you meet all of your business goals. But what I've seen happen is that someone will have quick audience growth and they will freak out. One LinkedIn post goes viral or one reel or TikTok goes crazy. And all of a sudden, more eyes than ever are looking at you. And the difference between the person who freaks out at all these new eyes and sudden audience growth and the person who sees the growth and is like, I'm ready, I'm grounded, let's go, is that the person who is ready has been preparing this whole time. They have been putting in the reps of creating content. They treated the audience they had, even if it seemed small, even if it seemed like nobody was engaging, they were treating that audience like it was a large platform. So when the day came, when their platform did explode, when they did have viral growth, they were ready. But if instead they kept thinking, I'm not talking to enough people, this isn't a big enough audience, when something does go viral and they get the engagement, they wouldn't know how to handle it. They would feel unprepared for all the eyes now watching them. I mean, they would feel as if they had just been asked to play the violin for the very first time at Carnegie Hall. Not ready, unprepared, and something they'd want to get out of right away. That's why when I hear someone say, I feel like I'm talking to the void when I create content, I say, good, practice. Put in your reps of how you like recording talking head videos. Practice how you like to talk about your concepts that you have. Build up your confidence so that when that day comes and something that you create gets traction, you're not rattled. Your confidence isn't shaken because you've been preparing all along. You have been treating the audience that you have, no matter the size, as if it was a large audience. So, you know that you need to address your fears that you have around your content reaching no one. You know that your confidence and style is being created before you have eyes on your content. But the last thing I want to talk about is revision and refinement. And to talk about that, I want to talk about a friend of mine who prepared to give a TED Talk. Now, my friend, she didn't just pitch the idea, write a draft, and then give the talk. She had to practice. She had to practice to an audience of one, herself. She had to practice in front of her kids and her family. She practiced in front of me and some business friends. She got notes every single time. Sometimes the notes were to slow down for emphasis. Other times it was to be more expressive with her voice. Other times it was to move around the stage more or cut out that example because it was too confusing. She practiced multiple times a day to a small audience or no audience. She did all of this preparation and refinement, working to go without notes so that she can have it memorized and do more than just give a speech, but perform the speech. And she did all of this for at least a month before she ever got onto the TED stage. All so that when she did get on the stage, when there were thousands of eyes on her, she was ready. So I bet you know where I'm going with this. When, quote, nobody is watching is the best time to practice and refine. Having and building confidence when no one is watching is one thing, but getting sharper and clearer, learning how to better present your ideas is a skill that you need to have no matter if you have an audience of 1 or 1 million. A friend of mine likes to mention that Gary Vee, who is a really known marketer who is always pushing out content, spent a good amount of time creating videos that nobody watched. But it was during that time that he got his flow down, that he refined his message, all when nobody was watching, until people started watching. I know as a society, we love the story of the overnight success of people who just popped up on the scene killing it. But what almost every single one of those overnight successes will tell you is that they worked hard, they practiced, they refined. So when that day came, when that opportunity came up, they were ready. So for you, are you looking at this time where you think, ugh, nobody's looking, as a time to refine your message? Are you looking at this as a chance to improve? Or are you simply jealous of the people who have the audience that you want? The stage you're at right now is the perfect stage to understand the fear that you have around not having the audience you want. This is the perfect stage to put in the reps and build your confidence in showing up. This stage right now is the perfect time to refine your message, get clear, and get ready for the audience that you want. Now, I know you understand this at a logical level, that if you feel like you don't have the audience that you want, keep going, keep practicing. I get it. You understand this at a logical level, but you still feel like you're not making progress. The drive to keep marketing your business when you feel like you're talking to the same people can be difficult, especially when it feels like the same 20 people are viewing your stories but not asking you anything about your services. And when that happens, what you need most is someone who is on your side, someone who can give you the encouragement you need to keep going, to help you see the progress you've made and help give you strategies so that you're ready for the larger audience, so that when more people do buy because they're inspired by your content, you're ready because you've been preparing for this moment. It isn't a fluke. You've put in the work to be ready to show up and help people no matter the audience size. When you work with me one-on-one, I'm with you every week on our calls. I'm with you between sessions reviewing your content, giving you encouragement, and I'm giving you the strategies so that you're ready to speak to more people and draw in the clients that you want. I'm helping you put in those reps so that even when it feels like you're talking to no one, you know that you are getting ready and prepared for the day that you blow up. Go to the link in the show notes and book a call to work with me. You can be supported while you transition from feeling like nobody is watching to knowing that all of the right people are watching and buying. Let's make this the season where you finally show up. Okay, until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.